Hi guys, let's talking about quantitative trading strategy, and I would like to share for you some parts of my code, how I'm developing the strategy using deep learning, and let's do some review of my code, and I would like to explain this trading process to develop strategy. So for example, I take data from the Binance. I take data for Bitcoin USDT, and I take time series for 6 hours. I take big time series because if you use for example 5 minutes and you need to create something very accuracy with high accuracy to make profitable strategy, if you minus commission from exchange. For example, if you take frequency for 6 hours, average returns for this period is about for example 2%, and if you minus commission from exchange, and you could develop a strategy using deep learning, and it could be easy to do it. And let's do some review. For example, I do analyze data in the history, and I take for example 50 last bars to analyze data using neural network. And also very important feature is stochastic. What does it mean, stochastic? Deep learning and neural network models have a stochastic nature. For example, if you run the same model on the same data, you could get several different results, and you need to review these results with some range. When you have some minimum and maximum of this range, it is your expecting returns, and you need to make multiply testing. Also, I like to create several classes to do process development more clarify. And if you would like to change some part of code, and it would be easier for me. For example, if you would like to change feature for these models, I only do change in this class, and I input another method to generate a feature for models, and it would be easy. This is class I create deep learning model using TensorFlow, and I do some ideas to load model and to save this model. Also a load data set, because I need to understand in detail how this model working on the history, and I do some research in this data set. And also I save some data for scalar. For example, I save mean data on standard deviation, that I could reuse this data in production, or when I do test data. The main class is momentum dense strategy, and in this class I do some main logic, and using this models I solve problem of classification. In this case I use some threshold probability. By default is 0.5, but you could change it on different. For example, like for predict true accuracy, you could use for example 0.6. It depends on situation, and you could read about this in the Google, and it is very useful feature to make more profitable strategy. Also I'm looking backtesting using stochastic dynamic method. when I run the strategy several times and I'm trying to understand how it's working, because when neural network created, we do some initialization of weight, and this initialization of weight could be random. In this case, we get different results, and we need to calculate the average, for example, results. It's something like this ensemble of model neural network. And after this, when I created it, I do some testing. For example, I run this class and I get data. This is time series with results of backtesting, and also I save model for agent models. In this case, I save a multiply of models. This is ensemble of models neural network to solve problem of stochastic nature of neural network. For example, when I did this backtest, I run plot results, and you see we have some positive results, and we could use it. This is results with commission of exchange. I'm extracting this data, and also this is results for test data when model is never seen this data before, and it means we have some positive results, and we could use it on production, and we could deploy the strategy on the server and use it. Let's analyze this one. So also I save this all objects in agent models. We have multiply of models and additional feature with data set and data for scalar. And when I would like to analyze this data in detail, I also could use it. I only load this data and I could use it. But let's do several testing. In general, I used vector BT for test the strategy. For example, I'm creating some simple test when we predict the data. Let's do it. Training. Okay, let's I need to save this data. 1 second. It takes some time to save new results, and you see I have 10 TensorFlow models, and I save it. It's momentum strategy 8, 9, 10. Okay, it's saved. Next, I need to upload this data. Let's do it again. What happens? I take data when we have predict, because this data include some training data, but I need data only for testing. And I'm creating signal for testing. And I'm using vector BT to make backtest. I indicate that I would like to entries when I have entries long situation, and exits when I have entries short situation. Also, I indicate commissions, and let's see what is statisticals. In this case, we have something different statisticals, and we could change some parameters, like entries would be exits long, like this. And we also I would like to use open short position. Let's do again what happens. Okay, so we have some positive results using this backtesting, and we have something different logic like this. I mean like this because in this case I predict data on the next bars, and if these bars would be long, I buy, I make long position. If model predict short, I am open short position, and I hold position only one bar, only one step. In this case we have some different logic, but in general we have positive results, and we could use it for production. Let's analyze some additional statistics. For example, the first I need strategy what better than benchmark, and I'm looking for profit factor, and I'm looking on max drawdown, and if I see that strategy is profitable with commissions, and I could develop the strategy and I could use in production also. And this is a good point to deploy the strategy on production with some small capital, and understand how it's working in real data. So similar logic I implement on the website, but in this backend version I'm using another feature. I decided not to use price data, and I concentrate my attention only on open interest, volume, and transaction, and another feature. Maybe the biggest problem is find some feature what would be work for you, and if you use too many features for deep learning, the data could be very noisy, and results could be not good. You should be careful when you use feature. You should analyze this feature very deep to understand how it's working. For example, I do some research, I do multiple charts, and if I see if it's working, and I make sure that if I understand this feature, and neural network also could understand this feature. So I'm going to implement some ideas to website, and let's do it, and see you next video.